everyone. Hello and what's up, everyone? We are back with another podcast.
For all you motherfuckers.
J-Mo, are we going to talk today about a man that had cargo that eventually became their child? Is that like what we do now?
No, we're talking about AKA Father of the Year, Pedro Pascal. Not in Last of Us, but in The Mandalorian.
Yes. Man, that dude is like the hottest thing right now. That dude is like everywhere.
Every woman should call him Poppy
Yes.
from now on because he's everyone's daddy.
And some men, some grown men. Dude, that dude is like, I see his face. I mean, obviously The Last of Us, but like on videos, he's become like templates for like TikTok and Reels, like memes. Dude,
He's batting 1,000.
Dude, it's like you have the two hottest shows in for 2023 just to start. You know, wow, what a good thing. What a good thing. And good thing that we're here to talk about it. But yeah, so let's talk about The Mandalorian, man. And we're coming in a little late for
I mean, let's also say what we always have to say. Expect spoilers. We're going to ruin some shit for some people. So if you don't want to hear it, we understand. But if you want to just listen in, please join us. Spread the word. Side Geeks are here. We're here in full effect.
That's right. So please, yeah, subscribe, like and all that jazz. But we're going to talk about The Mandalorian. So because we were doing The Last of Us weekly, we kind of skipped, and Ant-Man, we kind of skipped due to timing issues, our weekly Mandalorian podcast. So what we'll do today is that we'll talk, and we're not going to talk our usual in very detail breaking down each episode, but we'll kind of summarize it and put it all together for what you need to know about the first 4 episodes of The Mandalorian. And then, and because they're shorter episodes, some of them longer, but shorter episodes in general, I think we can definitely cover all 4 within this podcast. We'll talk about, not only the episode, but our theories and like crucial moments, Easter eggs, etc. And then hopefully,
let's put it this way: we're at the half marker. It's halftime.
Halfway point. That's right. And I think that hopefully, going forward, we can do it individual, but only time will tell because we have a few more things coming up, such as John Wick. We probably still should talk about Creed eventually. I haven't even watched the movie, but I
have a lot to say about Creed.
And then Shazam. Apparently, man, like I missed my opportunity. So it was my birthday this week, and I took a day off.
And you did nothing.
I took a day off, man, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go to the theater by myself, run it old school,
Okay.
And last minute, and I have my kids, and they don't want anything to do with me anymore because they're teenagers. But I offered, to go, and then my son is like, oh, can I bring my little girlfriend and this and that? And then like next thing you know, there's a few girls over, and I'm like, probably not a wise idea for me to leave the kids alone at the house. So I decided not to go. But I believe.
What were you gonna watch?
I wanted to watch Shazam, and actually, I wanted to watch Cocaine Bear and Shazam. And I figured
double feature Cocaine Bear Shazam.
I was gonna double feature it.
How high were you gonna be?
Oh, what do you mean? Was I gonna be? I was already.
My point is, how high? How high? There's levels to this shit.
Remember that scene in Knocked Up where Seth Rogen goes to the house and they all have pink eye, and one dude is like, "Man, you got pink eye too," and he's like, "No, I'm just really, really high." That level right there, bro.
Next time I want you to be, what's it called? Super Trooper opening scene high. When he's like, pull over. We're already pulled over. I can't pull over anymore.
Hell yeah, man. Somebody today, I actually put a I use this face app and made myself old. I have a Facebook account that I never use.
Man, I saw that.
And this app is like uses AI and it's pretty on point. Like it actually like makes you look real. And I thought it would be a good joke or practical joke to put that picture because I hadn't updated my profile picture in that account for like in like 12 years. And
everyone just assumed it was real.
And I figured, let me throw it out there for the people that haven't like seen me in a long time or haven't talked to in a while. And, some people caught on to it, but some people were just like, oh, happy birthday. Like, they must think like, man, this dude, like, what is this dude doing, man? Like, leave the drugs alone.
And drugs and whatever you do for a living is really taking its toll.
But my point to that is that somebody compared me to Cheech and Chong. And I was like, yeah, man, that's me.
Honestly,
it's an old man.
Honestly, if you look at them both as old men, and if Cheech and Chong had a baby, it would be you.
Yes, thank you. I'm on my spare time. I'm also rewatching that '70s show, and and that character, the Chong character in there. Oh my god, dude, it's hilarious comedy at its finest. But anyway, enough of that.
What are we here for again? Oh yeah, Mandalorian.
I'm getting old, and that's why I forget and get sidetracked.
So how did we get here? How did we get to season 3? How did we get to this epic season of beautiful Mando? You look at the guy, Mr. Pedro Pascal, aka Din Djarin, aka Joel, aka every name in the book. Again, he treats his kids as cargo in the beginning. That's where season 1 took us, and by the end of it, Grogu became family.
That's right.
We've seen Din Djarin grow up a lot. I mean, let's be honest. He never had any responsibilities. He was just there for the money. He had no feelings towards anyone. Pretty much self-explanatory of how we saw majority of season 1.
Yeah.
By the end of season 1, he had a found love for baby Yoda, aka Grogu. And the fact that it was heartbreaking to see in season 2 them break apart and let Grogu go on his Jedi trek after the beautiful sighting of Luke Skywalker at the end of season 2, which was epic. I mean, if I could, there's only the tiniest thing that I didn't like about that episode was the music that they played. Like, how do you not play, whether it be Duel of the Fates or anything that we've been known to attach the Skywalkers to that ending scene as Luke is just pretty much taking a knife through butter through all those droids.
Yeah.
And then, from there, as Grogu and Din Djarin separate, you see him again in the stories of Boba Fett, or is that what it's called?
The book of Boba Fett.
The book of Boba Fett, and from there, he's at this point he's taken off his helmet. He's abused one of the only laws, or there's 6 rules. One of the major rules to being a Mandalorian is never to take off your helmet, especially if you follow the old way. Fast forward to the book of Boba Fett. You've seen him on Tatooine befriending a lot of people, becoming allies with Bo-Katan, collecting the black saber, and it all accumulates now in this new mission that he's got on, starting off the season, which he wants to get back the honor he lost when he took off the helmet. Right. And that's where pretty much season 3 starts off at. So that's the biggest recap we have.
Yeah.
I want you to go into some of the first episodes to start us off and what you found intriguing.
Yeah, so that summarizes perfectly, man. I mean, he had a mission, and now his mission is to become pure again. And it's ironic because I'm not a very religious guy, and this is pretty much what almost represents like a baptism, right? Like you sin, and then you need to go get holy again. And they also explain that Mandalore has been destroyed, right? And that it was bombarded with certain chemical weapons that actually turned a lot of the Beskar from Mandalore into crystals, right? So it's so the idea out there from the existing Mandalorians is that this place is inhabitable, that you can't go in there, and by him saying, hey, like, I'll go, I need to get in the water, and basically just to take a step back, in order to purify himself, he has to bathe in the waters of Mandalore, right? Which,
hence, as you said, similar to a baptism.
So and everybody, including I forgot what I think it's Fen Rao, or what's her name that carves the Beskar armors. But
we don't, honestly, they just call her the Armorer.
The Armorer, right?
They don't have a name for her yet. But as we go along through this, man, I came across a theory on her. That will be pretty fucking shocking if it's true.
Well, spit it out, man.
And it's all because of her helmet.
Okay.
So I think it was either in Rebels or one of the previous storylines where Darth Maul defeats Bo-Katan to rule over Mandalore and the Mandalorians, right?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't defeat Bo-Katan. I apologize. He defeats
Pez.
Pre Vizsla.
You're right. Pez is the one in the show now. So you're right.
Yeah, he's the son or heir to Pre Vizsla, Paz Vizsla. So Darth Maul defeats Pre Vizsla, controls the Mandalorians, is king of Mandalore, however you want to view it. So the person that's most dedicated to him is someone seen in those animated series with the spiked helmets and everything. And the name, which I wrote down somewhere, now I just got to find it.
Rook Cast?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the one. So Rook Cast is someone that was the right-hand person to Pre Vizsla. After his defeat, she moved on to be dedicated to Darth Maul and become one of the Mauloranians, or whatever they want to call them.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I mean, if that pays out, the connections this show is making is crazy, because throughout this whole beginning 4 seasons, they've connected themselves to Rebels, all the newest trilogy of Star Wars,
mm-hmm.
to the prequels as well, from episodes 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
including Clone Wars.
Yeah, it seems like Jon Favreau is really trying to connect everything and add a lot of nuance to the story of whatever is considered in the Star Wars realm.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that it took me forever to find it, but I know we kind of threw it off a little bit, but with the beginning episode, it opens up literally on foundlings who are similar to the Jedi younglings, are looked on as the future and the preciousness of them, where even one of the major rules in the Mandalorian world is the protection of the foundlings. They actually have that. I think it's rule number 3 out of the 6. And it literally says the protection of the foundlings is key to becoming a proper Mandalorian.
Sure. Yeah, that's pretty badass, and yeah, Favreau's trying to close all the gaps, man. There's holes in the Star Wars story, of course, and they're doing a really good job at that. And like, what's exciting is the characters that they're bringing in, the new characters that that we just kind of saw one time here and there, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're in these shows, whether it's Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett, Bad Batch. You know, I can't wait what they'll do with Ahsoka, but they're bringing all that, and that's what makes it exciting, man. So yeah, that's a good theory. We'll see. I wouldn't, put it past them that it would be Rook, but that is pretty awesome. So the whole point, right? Trying to get purified. In this process, one of the key things that I'll probably highlight on this first episode is him trying to restore IG-11, right? Going back to Navarro, we see the Carl Weathers character, Grief Karg, right? Karga, yeah. And the IG-11 is like a statue, and what's interesting, right, is like the evolution. And what I want to bring this up is the evolution of Mando, like you were saying before, not only from bounty hunter to like father, right, but he used to hate droids, right? He didn't trust droids. He used to hate droids, and now he wants IG-11 to the point of like he's already like a freaking statue, a landmark, so to speak, in Navarro, right? And he's like, yeah, I want that, right? Which kind of,
to explain, I mean, the reason why he wants them is so this whole purification of being soaked or dipping into the living waters of Mandalore. Mandalore is a shithole right now, from what we know of.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's nuclear or toxic. Is it air breathable? Is it enravaged? Is it desolate? We don't know where it stands. So the reason why he wants IG-11 is because his thick his thick material is pretty impenetrable, which we find out early. I mean, pretty much halfway through the episode, when he finds a way to kind of activate him, and he reverts back to his primary directive of killing Grogu.
Right.
And the fact that without this droid, we don't know if he could even find the waters, because his suit isn't, I guess you can call it, it's slightly airproof, because he can take oxygen in, but only for a limited time, like anybody with a spacesuit.
Right.
So from there, getting back to what you were talking about, he gets to Navarro, he meets with Grief Karga, and the fact that you're saying evolution, you see the evolution in Navarro too.
Oh yeah.
Like as a planet, it went from being the Wild Wild West to what I would consider a big city in California now.
Yeah, to a thriving city where little androids are holding your cape because you're a badass now.
I mean, it looks fancy as fuck. It looks like Beverly Hills has landed over there. I mean, even to a point where certain pirates come across where they used to have a bar, which is now a school, and he's like, we can't allow you people here anymore. If you want to have a drink, come meet me in the office, and a shootout breaks out.
Right. Yeah, that was an interesting piece because, and I forgot the name of the species, but they always have whatchamacallit, like this kind of stigma of being pirates, and like with the like the pointy face or like the horns all over their face or whatever, which is interesting that they brought those back. They were pretty huge and like Clone Wars, right? But so a little nice Easter egg there. But then from there, right, he kind of starts beef with the pirates. Pirates start chasing his ass. We see that big pirate, right, that is on that big ship before he goes into hyperspace. Did you catch that guy's name? Because I think that dude is gonna become relevant. It's funny because we've seen him now. And then he looks like Swamp Thing, or like it almost reminded me of like the Pirates of the Caribbean character, that pirate with like the Cthulhu kind of looking guy. But it's funny how he evades them pretty quickly. But I think they're gonna become relevant at some point, because those dudes seem like they can definitely come back. But then we see that he goes to Bo, right? To, I think, Calamara is where Bo is. And I just wanted to call that out because she's alone. Like, there's one droid and her. Like, her whole palace, and she's there alone. People stop
She's in
following
a
her.
giant castle. She's in this huge castle with just her as the only living being inside that castle. After her defeat and not winning over the Black Saber, everyone that was following her left her.
Yeah.
You know, there's been a lot of changes. We get updates on Cara Dune after beating Moff Gideon. She was promoted, so Cara Dune is played by Gina Carano.
Yeah.
Yep. And you know, with that whole, I'm glad that they didn't kill her off, because I'm hoping they're going to bring her back in season 4.
Do you think she'll get out of cancel culture, man?
Yeah, because I don't think by this time what she stood up for isn't a relevant topic anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all she really stood up for is her political views.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that Hollywood is very democratically viewed, but Hollywood needs to stay out of it and just let everyone have their own opinion.
Yeah,
Anywho.
I can't remember exactly what she said, but I remember, like, I think I heard her in the Joe Rogan podcast, and I think she was taken out of context, right? Mm-hmm. But she kind of stood by what she said, which, you know, is respectful. I don't even remember what she said, but she kind of made it clear that, you know, she was not intentionally trying to offend anybody, right? And I think she was taking out of context, but you know, we know how it is, canceled or whatever, and hopefully at least for the character, right, she'll come back. But yeah, it was good that they kind of mentioned that and put some closure to that, because yeah, you're thinking they could have just wrote her off, right?
But they didn't, and I love that. By the way, Swamp Thing's name is Goran Shard.
Shard, that's right. That's right.
So if you ever get beaten by him, it's going to sound like he sharded me.
Then there's, you know, while during that Gina Carano mentioned, I think they also mentioned something about Moff Gideon, right? Like being set for trial or for going to a tribunal or something during this episode. So that also kind of like puts him in the radar. Because we didn't know was he dead? What happened? But he's gonna go face some consequences as far as we know, right? As far as we know. So Bo kind of tells Mando, you're wasting your time, right?
Why are you going over there?
Yeah, like there's nothing over there.
Like you're going to a place that's destroyed. There's nothing there. What you think is there does not exist anymore. Right. And mind you, we saw previously, because of the Jawas, what they had found. He showed the armor that I believe there is something still there, where he shows them the artifact. Yes, it's been crystallized by all the crazy bombings that have happened over there, with, I guess, almost going nuclear.
Right.
You would say. And pretty much Bo-Katan doesn't believe him. She's just like, you're wasting your time. He asks her, I think he asked her to come with him. She said no. And he just, that first episode ends with him traveling alone with Grogu.
Yeah. And then we jump straight into the second episode, right? And we're just gonna keep moving along, but he's looking for a droid still, right? And he ends up
he's looking for the part. He's looking for the memory chip.
You're absolutely right.
He's looking for the memory chip at this point for IG-11, which takes him to Tatooine and meeting up with Peli Motto. Peli Motto, as we remember, is the scam artist, the mechanic. She knows she could find anything thanks to the helps of all her little droids, and Jawa's stealing stuff for her. So, he talks to her about IG-11 and the part that needs. And literally the Jawa's like, yeah, you're not going to find that. That's nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
So
no IG parts at all. But here's this awesome R5 unit that you can take, which a call out there, Easter egg, right? Because this droid, we've seen him before.
yes,
Yeah, so he was
back in the 70s.
back in the 70s in Tatooine with Luke and his uncle, and he was supposed to be like Luke's droid instead of R2. But a little and I haven't read this comic, but there's a little comic called Skippy the Force sensitive droid, and it's this droid that supposedly, right, it's force sensitive, and that he kind of knew the path that Luke had to take, and kind of self-sabotaged himself in order not to go. So a little Easter egg here that there is, the way he sabotages himself, like kind of like drops on his head or whatever, I can't remember, but they show the oil mark in the Mandalorian season 2, making it known that this is the same droid, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting that so many years later, at least in our reality, right, from the 70s, this droid is relevant again, even if it's for a little bit.
And I think that's what I love about, here's something that Marvel should take from, is how Jon Favreau is, I don't want to say fixing anything, but he's adding content to the areas, to the movies that were missing content. Like we complain about episodes 7, 8, 9 because they kind of had shitty cutting, and it just jumped from like this happening to this happening to this happening without any real content. Why we're doing this, or why we're going to this planet, why we're attacking this people or something.
Right.
So what Favreau's doing is adding that content to make us understand why this happened. I remember like with episode 9, everyone's like, Snoke is a clone, and then Palpatine is a clone. Where are all these clones coming from? Well, Mandalorian fixes that.
Yeah, and like one of the big things, man, and just a comparison there. So Favreau, but just a big comparison there, man. Like you have 3 major Star Wars movies come out, right? And then you have like Princess Leia come out, and you have Luke come out, and they were, and it's not that I dislike the movies. It's just like they could have been 1,000 times better. But then you have Leia and Luke come out in The Mandalorian, right? Leia and Obi-Wan as a little kid or whatever. But just the way they present, and mind you, it's not a movie, it's a show on Disney Plus, right? But the effect of seeing Luke for the first time in The Mandalorian, bro, I'm talking about it and I'm getting goosebumps right now, because it was so powerful, and that effect I didn't have with episodes with the last 3 movies, right? So to your point, Favreau, my hat's off to you, and thank you for closing some of these gaps and making sense of all this shit, right? Because just throwing a movie just like that, cool, whatever, good action scenes, but it doesn't answer a lot of the questions that we've had for the last 30 years.
And I feel like he shoots similar to how George Lucas shoots, or how he tells a story.
Yeah,
maybe but Favreau has better writing, but how it's shot is very Lucas-esque.
Absolutely.
Getting back to the episode,
absolutely,
So Din Djarin buys the R5. He takes the R5 with him all the way to Mandalore.
Hell yeah. And, throughout that sequence, we see, he kind of explains that he used to live in Mandalore's moon, right? So I guess that's where he was brought up. He's telling, he's kind of like telling his story to Grogu. He's showing him how to navigate, because this is one of the core things that Mandalorians do, navigation. So he's like, look at the radar and figure this out. So a couple of very cool things there. They get to there. to Mandalore, and then they can breathe, right? Making them just kind of like walk in to the caves to go find these waters.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout there, some things that I want to call out.
I did find funny how R5 is a chicken shit.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, it took so much convincing for him to even get into the plane, and then it took so much convincing to him to get out of the plane and go check out the air, see if I can breathe in this shit.
Not
and
only
then he vanishes, and I'm like, this poor thing was right the whole time.
This dude is like, maybe he's not force sensitive. He's just a chicken shit, like you said, a lucky chicken shit. But anyway, so some things to call out there. That whatever creature that captures Mando was pretty scary, man. Like that part right there. Kind of took me back, like, man, is this like a house of 1,000 corpses or something, some horror shit, right? Like dip in a cave, let me drain your blood, and just very creepy.
Didn't he remind you of General Grievous?
Yes, very similar.
I'm like, I don't know, mind you, I know Grievous was 95% mechanical as well, and I don't know if he was this brain creature similar to this thing, but the exoskeleton and the multiple arms, and I'm like, man, is he related to Grievous? What the hell's going on with these people?
Yeah, because this dude in the Mandalorian was almost like a tiny creature. I was gonna say what's the killing the murder killing machine, Modoc, just brain and no body, but
he's actually Brain from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That's right. And then but had this crazy mechanical spider looking thing. I thought that was pretty cool. Thing to highlight there, right? Obviously Grogu needs to go get Bo to kind of help Mando, and we see these like creatures, right, that Mando kind of has to wield the saber for, right, and then kind of kills the first two, but then one of them charges Grogu when he's trying to escape, and I was like, oh my god, and man, Grogu just handled business, bro.
How about the fact that, okay, so since Grogu left Luke, they're saying it's been 2 years. So if you add the math, the black saber has been with Din Djarin for over 2 years, or 2 years, and he's still struggling with it. He's still having a hard time lifting it. Grogu goes and gets Bo-Katan. She comes back, helps him out. There's a moment where she is able to grab the black saber, and it's flowing beautifully in her arms. Like it's nothing. Like she's playing with little glow sticks at a nightclub.
Right.
So like it's funny that I guess the proper owner, as in Din Djarin, can't wield it for shit, being a man, but the person that it's supposed to be going to, you can tell she's had so much experience with it, and it just listens to her as she wields it.
Yeah, and there's a thing there, right, that it like strength doesn't, almost like a Thor hammer, right, almost like a Mjolnir type thing. You can't, it doesn't matter how strong you are, right, like it has to connect with you in order for you to be able to use it as a proper weapon. And I think that's one of the things that Mando doesn't give a shit about the Darksaber, right? He carries it because he earned it, I guess. He wanted to yield it to Bo, and season finale of Mandalorian season 2, right? Whatever. And she just couldn't accept it because she knew, right, that she would be rejected again, right?
Yeah, she's messed up before. She did take it like that, and the whole world turned against her.
Exactly. So she's like, no thanks. And I just think that he doesn't care, right? I think he doesn't care too much about the weapon, and and we'll probably talk a little bit more about that, and because episode 4 is very relevant to that. 3 and 4 to Bo-Katan, but I just don't know, man. It's all kind of pointing in the direction that she is gonna be it, right? Which you would assume Mando. So I'm curious to see what twists and turns does this season have. But it all kind of, to me, is probably pointing in the direction of like a Mandalorian civil war again, because this is what these motherfuckers do.
I mean, after she saves them, they still have to. She looks at him and she goes, "Okay, I'll help you find the living waters." She guides them through the paths. And what's nice is that she remembers exactly where she is. She's like, "Oh, this was for this. We house this here. I remember playing as a kid in these tunnels." It was nice. And they get to the living waters. What's interesting is that plaque that she reads on the wall regarding the mythosaur.
Yeah.
That whoever is able, mind you, they go into the history of it. The mythosaur is a creature that lives in this water. It was defeated by, or whatever, conquered by the great Mandalore, or I think that's his name. And whoever is able to tame and ride him becomes
Mandalore the Great. Sorry,
Mandalore the Great. And whoever is able to tame and ride him will rule over all of Mandalore and its people.
Sure.
So, like, we've heard this speech similar to the Darksaber, where whoever wields the Darksaber leads all of Mandalorians. And so, like, in my head, if I had to rank what's more important, I'd say the mythosaur outranks the Darksaber.
Yeah.
And you read that, Bo-Katan tells Din Djarin, "All right, man, go bathe,
go
do your thing." And he doesn't realize after taking the first 3 steps that it's just a straight shot to hell.
Yeah, and it's crazy how they do that, man, because like you don't find out till episode 3, right? Because you originally, I assumed after Bo sees the mythosaur, and at first you don't know if Mando saw it too. You don't know. I mean, they saw something, right? I mean, but it made you think that something sucked him up, right? And apparently he just fell. He's full of Beskar, heavy as Beskar. He misses a step. He goes down very deep, very fast, which is what makes you think, like, come on, man, like, really? But
she tells him in the beginning of episode 3 that it wasn't supposed to. It's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
It was a more gradual, like you're walking into an ocean type of thing. There's no like barrier reef to drop you down, because of the blast that's been going on up on the surface that caused a lot of chaoticness and I guess almost like earthquake type of situation, and it collapsed all the bottom out.
Yeah. So we see the mythosaur, man, and I think that was like the big fucking wow factor of this episode, right? Because you're like, what the fuck was that? And at first, you're like, what is that? And then it's like, wait, that's their fucking sign. I'm like, that is the mythosaur, like holy shit. Let me rewind that shit. Let me rewind it, because it was just for a brief moment. And
I paused it. I had to go back and I couldn't catch the damn. I'm like, I had to pause this thing and I had to put it in slow motion. And I'm like, okay. I think this is a mythosaur.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
What does it mean? I have no idea.
Yeah, me and Young Rigo were watching it too, and he's like, "What? Like, damn, what is that? Like, what creature?" And I'm like, "Wait, dude." I'm like, "Did you see the tusks?" I'm like, that's it, man. That's the fucking sigil, man. That's their stamp.
My thing is like, how the hell is it still alive?
Well, yeah. Well,
what the hell is it eating?
Yeah. I mean, you don't know, man. I mean, bears go into hibernation. Maybe these beasts do the same thing, but we did see that there are creatures down there, right? That were living. Actually, I had it written down like the Alamites are the things that Grogu like pushes away. There's some like little roaches or whatever. There's creatures down there, you know. So we would only assume. But the cool thing is that motherfucker is there and it's alive, and I think it's gonna come back at some point.
Let me ask you this:
Yeah,
why did she keep it a secret from Din?
I honestly believe, bro, that. Well, first, I know Bo. She's always been like a shady character. Like you never know where it's gonna go. But I honestly believe that she didn't fully believe that she saw it. I think she maybe thought it was a vision or something. I don't think she wasn't very sure. That's why she asked him, like, "Did you see anything down there?" Like, I think it was more like, "Did I see this shit? Like, did I really see this shit?"
I have a different point of view. I think it's more. She's like, man, this guy's already got the fucking dark saber. I'm not gonna tell him what I saw and have him get both the dark saber and he tames the mythosaur. Fuck that shit.
Okay.
I mean, that's how I look at it because
I mean,
she doesn't, even when she finally tells somebody, it's not even him. So she keeps it a secret throughout the whole episode, throughout all that's going on, and not until they get back to towards the end of this episode 3, get back to where the Mandalorians are now. She only told the armorer about it to kind of get content and to see what does that mean for everyone.
Right.
I think that's why she brought up to her, because if anyone would know, it's the armorer, who is like the Mandalorian historian at this point, who's the only one keeping traditions alive.
Yeah, but it didn't seem like she believed it, right? Like she was just like, oh, okay, yeah. So like you saw it in a dream or something, right? So I think she didn't take her seriously, right?
Yeah, I mean that's where I come up with how are these things alive? Because even when they were on Mandalore, like when Bo-Katan was still living on Mandalore, this was just a mythical creature still.
Right.
So it's been around for a super long time.
Right.
Since Mandalore the Great.
Yeah.
Or the Great.
Yeah, because they went extinct. And, you know, I hope they explain it, right? But the only thing that I can assume is the bombing, right? Maybe that did something. Maybe they were living in the core of the planet, and that did something that awoke them, or I don't know. I mean, or maybe they evolved. Maybe he evolved again, right? Like
the only thing I can imagine is the bombing caused certain holes that all these Mandalorians fell through into that water. So he was storing food at the bottom of the ocean, just chewing on Mandalorians.
Yeah, why not?
So also in episode 3, we get to meet again our old friend Dr. Pershing. So in between these two events, between Din Djarin being baptized and them going back to the planet where everyone's hanging out again, we get sidetracked by Dr. Pershing again.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't like that, by the way. That the episode started pretty fast, right? With it was not TIE fighters, but it was, I forgot the type of fighter that they are, but they're like chasing them back at what's the Calamera, right, where Bo's castle is. They destroy it, but the action scene is just freaking insane. And then for like the first 3-4 minutes, and then we go to the Dr. Pershing story, which is like an hour fucking long of like what is happening, bro. And
it was funny because like we get the castle being blown up by whatever you want to call them, the TIE fighters, the non-TIE fighters, whoever they are. So what's funny about it is like we go to action pack to a speech being told of, you know, we're in the Grand Theater again, the theater that we saw in episode 3, I believe, and we are listening to Dr. Pershing talk about the clone technology that he has, or that he was working on when he was working under the Empire. So from there, we also get introduced to one of Moff Gideon's little followers, I guess. And I'm lost on her name. Do you got the name?
Yeah, Elia Kane.
Elia Kane, aka N68 or whatever she is now.
Yeah. Which by the way, have you seen her? Do you know who have you seen her as something else recently?
No.
No? Do you remember
you might shock me.
A little character named Gentora in Ant-Man?
No.
That's her, bro. That's her.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, we just talked about her last week and we didn't know.
Wow.
So, and yeah, because I was like, where have I seen her? Like, you know, like obviously super clean cut, like completely different outfit or whatever. Yeah. She's not a Amazonian warrior or whatever, but
wow,
deep quantum realm. But yeah, same character, badass. And another thing is that I thought it was funny. I don't know if they did this on purpose, right? But her name is Elia, right? Like a liar, you know, like
I think it's pronounced Elia.
Elia. Anyway, so Elia, motherfucker. But anyway, so yeah, what an interesting episode there, because she's definitely not there to get rehabilitated. She's definitely still a spy, right? An Imperial spy. And man, she played my boy Pershing.
Who is she working for?
She has to be working for Gideon still, man. She has to be.
Is it Moff Gideon, you think? Are you telling me he has escaped wherever he is?
There is a
or is it Admiral Thrawn?
Oh, dude.
I mean, this would be a great intro, wouldn't it?
You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that, because the first time we see her, man, maybe you're onto something, because the first time we see her just a silhouette when Pershing is doing the speech in the big auditorium, right? And then we see her walk in, but it's just a silhouette, and she has short hair, so I thought it was a man. And then I was like, I told you, I'm like, oh my God, is this Admiral Thrawn? I'm like, is this Admiral Thrawn? So maybe they were trying to foreshadow that. I don't know, but
I'm looking at it this way. They are dropping too many hits at Gideon. They're dropping meaning they're not dropping shady hints. They're dropping obvious hints to Gideon. You know, you have Elia Kane, who is one of his followers. You know, we're always going back to being him mentioned in episode 1 by Grief Karga. So, you know, he's being mentioned. It's too obvious the hints that they're giving. Yes. I think using the mindset of maybe what Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are doing, they want that shock. They want that shock of Luke showing up in the final scene of season 2. So I think the big shock would be all of a sudden this blue motherfucker coming out of nowhere.
Could be.
And it being Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah, and they're in this particular episode, when they're talking, you know, with the other members, you know, when Pershing first comes through the camp and first meets
among the amnesty program.
The amnesty program, right? So there is mention about there being a rumor that Gideon. So they talk about Gideon in the first episode, that he's on his way to the tribunal, and they mention Gideon escaped on his way to the tribunal, right? So
they mentioned so many different things. They mentioned he might have escaped. They mentioned he might have had his brain fried. He might have been they've had him in different situations. That's why I'm thinking she's not working for Gideon.
Gotcha.
Because
so
he could escape. I'm okay with that.
But you don't. But yeah, I mean, it will make sense that he's not the main guy. Like who broke him out, right? Who broke him out? Like it could be Admiral Thrawn. I hope so, because that would be so fucking badass. But yeah, so it's crazy that you mentioned it, because I remember that like shadow figure, and I'm like, that's him, and then it turned out to be her, and I was like, wah. But now that you bring it up, I'm like, oh wow, now I'm excited again. Woo! What a fucking good episode. So after, just to summarize, right? She tricks him into confirming that he's not bad, right? That he did it for a good purpose. He's just did it in the name of science.
Right.
And which remind me, because I gotta tell you a theory at the end. But he did it in the name of science, and so she betrays him, and he goes through the mind eraser thing, and that bitch cranks it up. It's a trap. Fries him up.
I can't believe you said that too. He's the guy that looks like a.
I know, calamari guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very interesting. After that whole sequence, we go back to Mando and Bo. They show back at wherever all the Mandalorians are, and basically the armor kind of says, "Hey, Mando, you're right. That test of water, Linden Waters of Mandalore, everything is gravy." And hey, by the way, Bo, did you take off your helmet? No. All right, then you're fucking a Mandalorian now. So, which is cool, right? Because she's back into the mix.
What I love about that is before they land, Din Djarin's like, listen, don't take off your hat, okay? They're gonna fucking lose their shit. Don't take off your helmet,
Right?
Because let's just get through this. It's like something your wife would probably say to you, like, hey, don't act up. We're going to church. Don't act up.
Yeah.
Don't say anything stupid or funny. Just keep your helmet on.
Like, yeah, don't tell that fucking joke. Don't tell that joke.
It's the same fucking joke I've heard for
like
30
we're going
years.
to church. Yeah, like don't be telling priest jokes. So we end there, and then we finally jump into episode 4. And I thought it was pretty cool to jump into that because it opens up with all the Mandalorians kind of training. They're training, right? And something cool there, man. I mean, obviously the Grogu thing, right? Right away, they put the foundlings to fight. My little guy that just became a Mandalorian said, nah, he doesn't even have a helmet. They explain all that. And I thought, man,
why does he have a helmet? Why does he have a helmet? Well, he can't talk.
He can't talk. He can't do the creed, man, yet. But he can whoop your ass, boy. But honestly, I thought Grogu was gonna lose. This is what I thought. Grogu's gonna lose because he doesn't know. But by the end of the episode, he's gonna do some fucking crazy shit that everybody's gonna be like, whoa. But no, they gave him the W right away, which was pretty awesome, man, with the little like dart thing that he did in his jumps. So they've been adding. There's like 3 times that he has made these crazy jumps, with the Force, and he can control it a lot more now. He doesn't have to like go to sleep for hours now. He's wielding it a lot better. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then all of a sudden, like the plot of this one was a little weird, even though it was great because they had a lot of action. The plot, I think, just from a logistic standpoint, I think it had a few holes. Right, this kid gets taken by this fucking dinosaur-looking bird. Right, this like pterodactyl.
Shriek-hawk.
Is that what they're called?
Shriek-hawk.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't think they had names.
The only reason I know is because I have Wikipedia open right here.
Nice.
So right here,
apparently,
I'm looking like, oh, okay, the Shriek-hawk done captured him.
Gotcha. I think that for some reason I started playing Fallen Order recently for the first time, and I think that's like their first appearance of these creatures too. Because I was doing some research for this episode, and of course I got spoiled. Anyway,
I mean, in sidetrack, in Fallen Order, you end up taming and riding him.
Yeah, that's what I saw. That Cal kind of falls on top of one, right? Which I think that's where the 3 little baby birds come into play, right? I think they're gonna be like kind of like a Game of Thrones ripoff, and they're gonna grow up, and then Mando, Bo, and Grogu are gonna ride those motherfuckers. But anyway, and when I was saying like plot and logistically is because the dude takes the kid, then Bo goes scans the scene, comes back, is like, we can't use jetpacks. We finally get there. Let's wait till the next morning, and then they finally climb, and then the kid is still. I mean, that bird is finally feeding his children with the kid. I'm like, come on, man! Like I thought that kid should have been dead like days ago.
Listen, man, these Shriek Hawks are not good parents. That's all you can take out of it. Mind you, the kid ended up finding out that's Paz Vizsla's son.
Yeah, who is a good
now
parent.
The other. Here's the part that the kid's name is Ragnar. FYI.
Oh, damn, that's awesome.
Ragnar Vizsla.
That's all. That's a badass name, Viking.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly. I went to Vikings real quick on that one. But what awesome. What I have a question for you is this: if Mandalorians could never take their helmet off in front of another Mandalorian or anybody, right? He even says if you have to eat, you got to go somewhere private.
Yeah.
Eat something, take it off, eat something, but no one can see you without your helmet. My question is, how do they make babies? Are they just bumping helmets?
Have you ever heard of doggy style, motherfucker?
My point is, you're gonna have everything taken off. So everything taken off.
Hey,
so you're naked everywhere.
Have you ever heard of putting a bag on a girl?
Man, who are you fucking? That's what I want. What beats?
Everybody. That's why.
Listen, you gotta start hanging out with me for a
shit.
We're gonna have to put some.
No.
Criterias.
This is awesome. I am gonna 3D print a bunch of Mandalorian helmets, and I'm just gonna put them on ugly bitches that are hot.
What are you doing? I'm really into Star Wars. Shut up.
I'm like, you know what? This is for research purposes. I want to see how this can be done with helmets on. I mean, this is strictly for the podcast.
But literally, that image of completely naked bodies, but your helmet's still on.
Yeah,
that is the funniest porno ever created.
And it's probably out there. I mean, I've seen Spider-Man doing some crazy things and Wolverine doing some. I'm sure there's Mandalorian porn out there. I know there's Star Wars porn. But anyway, now you sidetrack me into Zack and Miri make a porno. But anyway, yeah, man, I think that. So one of the serious talk though, like I figure that these guys are like so strict to their creed, right? I mean, they don't take their helmets off at all. I mean, barely to eat. So sex is just probably like one of those things, like a transaction that you have to do to reproduce. I don't think it's really like all that into the pleasure. I think it's more like, hey, we need to do this, girl.
I think one of the main things that we forgot to mention regarding this episode, and I guess the ending of episode 3, Paz Vizsla has some serious hatred in the beginning of this episode towards Bo-Katan. Whether she was at war against Pre Vizsla because everyone assumes Pre Vizsla kind of like lost his shit a little bit, and she went against her, I guess, tutor, mentor, whoever he was at the time to her, and started, to join up with her sister and have a civil war.
Yeah,
she is, I guess, in Paz Vizsla's point of view, one of the antithesis to what caused the civil war. So he, in the beginning of this episode, you can tell there's some hatred. There's a lot of tension in the air, and not until he literally saves his son can he squash whatever was going on in the past.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with just respect, right? I think that from what we talked about before, and I had a little note here about the Darksaber too, and you kind of touch base on it, right? And just to kind of recap that, when Bo, the Darksaber was given to Bo, right? And that's how everybody lost respect. She takes her helmet off. I mean, they were part, if I remember correctly, Pre and Bo, like, didn't they go help Mando at some point in one of the episodes? I think it was maybe in the Book of Boba Fett or whatever. So they at some point worked together, but eventually I think that they parted ways because they stopped respecting Bo and they didn't treat her as a leader, right? So that's why they're all in this little planet, like making it work. But I don't know if it goes farther than that, man. I think it's just like a respect thing. I don't think you're it. Cheap way of earning the dark saber. And the more you think about it, right? When you don't like somebody or when you don't respect somebody, hatred just kind of amplifies. But one thing that I did have a note about here is that there is a toy line, right, for the Star Wars, and has Paz Vizsla without the helmet off, and it is Favreau, right? Like, it has Favreau's face. So do you think we'll see at some point in the show him taking his helmet off? I mean, no, I almost feel like they have to, man. If like a Favreau cameo.
No, he's been the voice of both Vizslas, Pre and Paz, throughout the animated series and this. So I don't think he's ever gonna. I think he's too much of a. This character is too much of a traditionalist to ever take it off. Not until. I mean, I don't even think he would take it off if his son's life depended on it.
Okay. No, yeah, but
only because he looks at it as, we are warriors. This is our warrior Kree. You fall on your shield to the death. So his shield, his point of view is this helmet never comes off.
Yeah. I mean, but think about it though. Mando was the same way. Probably, if anybody was strict about the helmet, it's Din Djarin, and he had to take it off, right?
I think he's extremely strict, Din Djarin, but I think the Armorer and Paz Vizsla are different. They're looked upon as the leaders of keeping this tradition alive. I could see everyone else underneath them possibly be able to one day take their helmets off.
Gotcha. So throughout this process, while they're saving the boy, and they save him in the middle, right? We see the Armorer building Grogu's chest plate, and kind of like solidifying as a founding as a Mandalorian, or future Mandalorian. But this was a big fucking drop in this episode that I'm really excited about. They gave us we see Grogu kind of like tearing up, like very sad, and we flash back to Order 66, bro, and we find out how he was saved.
I think you could literally see the PTSD kick in Grogu's eyes as that armor is just banging away and sparks are flying everywhere.
Yes, it's crazy. And it's like a big moment for me and for all of us that are Star Wars fans, right? Because boom, they take us to that spot. Order 66, fucking Jedi's trying to defend themselves, and then we get introduced to Keller and Beck, right?
Yep.
There was a lot of theories, speculation, since Mandalorian season 1 came out, as to who was the man, who saved them, and we finally have an answer. They have this action sequence where Keller and like Beast Mode takes care of some clones, right? And then goes in the ship, saves Grogu, and then the vision is kind of over. So we don't know what happens after that, and I'm sure we'll find out maybe season 4 or whatever. But let's talk about this character. So why is this character special, man?
Well, before we jump into that, you know what I was hoping for? In the beginning of that flashback, when you see the 4 Jedis trying to protect, but they get gunned down. Like in the beginning, right before we see Keller and Beck, you see 4 Jedis protecting Grogu.
Yeah.
Nobody has dropped a name on a single one of those Jedis. Like it would be nice to be a call out, to be, whether it be somebody from Jedi Fallen Order, a book from in the past, something. We have the opportunity to bring in more canon, make things more canon by just dropping a name here for 4 different Jedis. It could be from anywhere in the world of Star Wars. I would have liked to have known that.
Yeah.
But getting onto Kelleran and how he's able to rescue Grogu, and the significance of Kelleran is the fact that the actor that played Kelleran is AKA Jar Jar Binks.
Jar
Now,
Jar.
I don't know about you. I hated Jar Jar Binks. I thought they could have done. I didn't mind the comic relief aspect, but I think they could have invented a better character that wasn't so stupid,
Annoying.
annoying. I mean,
I jumped on the bandwagon at first. When I saw the movies or in the early 2000s at first, I was like, I was not even impressed by the whole movies, right? Like I was just like, okay, good movies, and Jar Jar is like, yeah, everybody hates him. I'm gonna jump on top on the bandwagon and this and that. And I've said it on this podcast before, you know, I kind of found my love for those movies again. Back in the early 2010s, I started like binging again and appreciated with a different eye, right? And then Jar Jar still annoying on the annoying side. Yeah, I think they could have done without him, but it didn't bother me as much because I think the story and maybe Clone Wars fixed that a lot for me, right? But I think that definitely the story, Anakin, Obi-Wan, like kind of surpassed my hatred for Jar Jar, so it was okay. But just bringing it back to this particular character or actor, I mean, real life, the hate for Jar Jar was so much that like completely ruined his career, right? Like this dude, I mean, he spoke out like he couldn't find a job, like just because he played Jar Jar Binks, right? Like and so it's pretty satisfying, right? And again, Filoni and Favreau, again, my hat's off because
they're fixing everything.
Yeah, they brought this guy back, give him an opportunity, and even if it's one episode, man, like wow, like you're given another opportunity. We've seen it recently with what's the kid from Indiana Jones? He won like best actor, Kate Kwan, right? Like, and it's like these stories, man, real life stories of like these comebacks, just make me fucking feel good for somehow. You know?
I never hated the first 3 episodes. I've always liked them from the beginning. I don't think they were the best, but like certain aspects of them I thought was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just the character of Jar Jar Binks wasn't needed. If you're gonna do Jar Jar Binks, you should have done something in the mythology that we've been in. Like nobody was that over the top goofy in 4, 5, and 6. So to bring in someone and introducing them, and you pretty much bring in Jim Carrey's Ace Ventura, or Dumb and Dumber, I should say, into the Star Wars world.
Yeah,
was not needed. You could have done a better job with Jar Jar Binks, and if you did, this guy would have had a career.
Yeah, although in Empire, right, or even when we talk 4, 5, and 6, and I think 5 and 6, it kind of it evolved better. But Yoda, man, on that, when we first met Yoda, he was a goofy character, you know, and they fixed him, right? Like remember when Luke went to the swamp, and Yoda was just kind of like jumping around like he hadn't even had this voice. And then I'm so glad, man, that they kind of fixed his character and just became like the most powerful Jedi or whatever. But I'm wondering if that was the idea, right, of having this type of character. Although I got to tell you, Jar Jar did redeem himself in Clone Wars. He did have a couple of episodes where like he saved the day or whatnot. But yes, I think it could. We, real talk, we probably could have done without him in 987. Mm-hmm. But anyway, So Kelleran back, and then he's known also, I guess last bullet point there, as a Padawan protector, right? Like he's been written for that specifically, so I guess that makes sense as to why, you know, he would protect Grogu. And also apparently a badass fucking lightsaber Jedi, right? Like he has the skills, man. And we had a little glimpse in this particular episode, so I hope they definitely bring him back, or maybe more flashbacks, but we need to find out what happens to him, because if he's still alive, right, we might see a recent version, right?
He might be on Naboo, you know, because he got on their ship, and that seems like the ultimate Jedi safe haven. So we might be introduced to Bail Organa again. We might get a cameo out of that.
Oh yeah,
in
basically.
A
Yeah. So and a lot of people were disappointed, because I think a lot of people were really invested in the idea that that Samuel L. Jackson was the one. That Master Mace Windu was the one that saved Grogu. I even bought into the idea when I heard it, right? But
well, when I first saw the commercial and I saw a black person, bald head, and I'm like, oh, a young Sam Jackson. All right, cool.
Right.
Or like Samuel Jackson's son. I'm like, is Mace Windu's son? He had a son?
Yeah. So, and we never know, right? We didn't see a body. We've talked about this before. Right. We didn't see a body. But so that kind of closes the episode. You know, Bo confesses about the mythosaur that we talked about already. And this is where we are. We are caught up with the Mandalorian. What theories do you have, man? What do you think is coming up next?
I think Thrawn is on the brink of coming up. I'll be honest with you. I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to unveil in this season. I do think we're going to see Moff Gideon again. Okay. And I feel like between Thrawn, Moff Gideon, and Aaliyah Kane, that's going to be the evil trinity that's going to be working on whatever happened in episodes 7, 8, and 9 in regards to Star Wars filming.
Gotcha.
So I think they're going to lay the foundation of the New Republic to come about. So as similar as like in what did we just watch? Was it Obi-Wan? No. The Rogue One prequel. What's the Rogue One prequel called? This is just
the Rogue. Oh, Andor.
Andor.
Yeah.
So similar to how we saw Andor and like the beginnings of the Empire to take over, this is going to have the same, I believe, the same feel to it, where we're going to get the other side of the world, the evil side, slowly laying the foundation. We're going to see less glimpses of it because we're always shown the good guy point of view. So we're going to be shown the Mandalorian point of view. So, but I think in the background, these are going to be the first footsteps to the New Republic being to take over.
Gotcha. So, and then we've normally have, right, like we have in seasons prior, you know, we had the appearance of Ahsoka, right, which is like a good character, right? Obviously, I think the biggest one, Luke, in season 2, right? And then we saw him also in the Book of Boba Fett. They will drop a big character, and I think I like your theory about Thrawn, Gideon, you know, which we have already seen. Thrawn will be the new one, but do you think they're gonna show any big good guys?
Yes.
And who do you think that would be?
Well, if you remember where Rebels ended with Thrawn and those whales that we saw, remember how when they went through warp in episode 1, I believe.
Yeah,
1 or 2. It was one of them. And Grogu saw the whales in the warp, or whatever they're called. The whales, us guessing about Thrawn, leads me to believe Ezra's coming out, is going to show up.
Got it. Okay.
I think that's the big good guy we're going to see.
Okay.
I do believe Ahsoka is going to be mentioned. I don't think we're going to see her. And I just think that we're going to get a glimpse at at Ezra. And I think that's not going to happen until the final episode.
Right.
Because I think that's what the Ahsoka series is going to be based on, her looking for Ezra.
Interesting. That would be cool. I have a wild theory, man, that I don't even know if we talked about it, you and I already, because I've been blabbering to some people. But do you remember, and here it is, and do you remember episode 1 of The Mandalorian? His bounty was to bring Grogu to Pershing, right? So they can, like do some DNA cloning, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I have this feeling that there's speculation that Grogu might be Yoda's kid and, blah, blah, blah. I think Grogu is Yoda's clone, man. I think they're going to drop that on us, bro. Because episode 3 talks so much about cloning and the science of it. And I'm like, why are they talking about this? And then it made me think of episode 1, and I just have a feeling, man, that maybe we'll see a Yoda flashback, right? As to, like this is the way.
Do you think we're gonna get a Yoda sighting, or do we get Yoda's mama sighting? Or Grogu's mama sighting, which is not Yoda or whatever. What's her name?
I forgot. What's her name?
I'll look it up.
I just saw her because we just saw her story in the Tales of the Jedi. Let's see.
Yeah, Yaddle.
Yaddle. Yeah, that's right. Yaddle.
Now, do you think we see Yoda or Yaddle?
No. Now, here's the thing, right? Yoda is the only male of that species that we have seen until Grogu. Right. And then Yaddle is the only female. We hadn't seen any females but Yaddle. And I believe she was in one of the movies. I can't remember where, because she was sitting around the master Senate room or whatever.
I think she's also been in a video game.
Oh, it's possible. I haven't played all the video games, except for like Battlefront or whatever. But so the assumption was, back in season 1 of Mandalorian, is that these two fucked and then made Grogu, right? But the thing is that Yoda was very much kind of like Mando's to the Creed. Yoda was very much to the Jedi way. And we know that marrying or fucking is not a thing, right? I mean, Anakin, my boy, respect. Obi-Wan, you came close with Sabine, or Satine, sorry. But it didn't, the Jedi way won't allow you, right? So why not say, clone me? Because I'm going to die. I know what's going to happen. And, we need to restore this shit with a big, powerful Jedi. And who else but Grogu, bro? I don't know. It's just something that came to mind. I know it's a real stretch. It's a real stretch. But
I don't understand why we keep going to Tatooine and not getting a glimpse of Obi-Wan in the background somewhere.
Yeah.
They're in the same time frame.
Yeah. Is it
also?
Are they in the same time frame?
Yeah, this is happening after episode 6.
Mm-hmm.
So Obi-Wan. Oh no,
because Darth is gone. I mean, Darth was at Obi-Wan and Darth and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Darth was basically fresh out of the
these are both after Darth dies, right?
Yeah, but Obi-Wan but when we see Obi-Wan already older,
3.
Yeah, because Obi-Wan dies in episode 4,
6.
Right? So what's it, 6?
No. Obi-Wan dies in 4.
Yeah.
I keep getting it mixed up because of how these movies came out.
Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, you got me mixed up right now too. But yeah, Obi-Wan is gone.
Not bad. You know who could show up? Cal Kestis.
Why not? Cal Kestis,
Why not?
Why not?
I think
and he's a relevant actor. He's the relevant actor. Yeah, he's from Shameless.
Dude, and he's like in top physical shape, so bring him on. Either you bring him on for an Obi-Wan season 2, or you could bring up an older version of him in this.
Or I mean, give him his whole fucking series, bro. I mean, that's Cal, bro.
Not yet.
No. Okay.
No. I mean, all we've seen him is one video game.
I guess you're right. But you know, Ahsoka kind of came up in Mandalorian. Now she's gonna get her own show, so it's possible that they test the waters by bringing him in the Mandalorian, and then we'll see.
Yeah, but the difference is Ahsoka's been around for years now.
Yeah, yeah. Ahsoka's in her 50s now, 40s, 50s.
Being Anakin's Padawan is you're moved up to the top of the list right there. You get your own TV show.
That's true. That's true.
Cal Kestis is nobody popular's a Padawan, and he died while he was still a Padawan.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So maybe, like you said, Kanan. No, not Kanan. From Rebels.
Ezra.
So yeah, Kanan died by Kanan.
I could see. I would. I mean, that would be pretty cool. And you know, the writer for Rebels is a writer on this. So
yeah. So
Dave Filoni wrote that whole thing.
Yeah, so that was my big theory. I like yours. I like Thrawn too. I mean, they have to bring him at some point. He's a big major character. So we'll see. But all right, I guess we can wrap up. That's the 4-episode summary, guys. We hope that you enjoyed. Did you have any more notes or theories? Anything? Okay.
Theoried out.
So we'll close it right there. Stay tuned. We're gonna, watch 5 through 8, and then we'll come back with more content. I can't wait.
I'm watching John Wick tomorrow.
Woo-wee.
I already got the tickets, so
Nice.
John Wick for it tomorrow. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, I heard it was badass. I heard good things.
Did you know it's almost 3 hours long?
No shit. Okay.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's a lot of killing.
That's like 1,000 bodies right there. Yeah, I can't wait, man. And I'm hopefully this weekend we'll catch up on some Shazam. I heard some good things about Shazam. And then, of course, John Wick, and then, some more Mandalorian. So, folks, thank you so much for staying with us. Please like, subscribe, share, all the above. We appreciate you dropping a comment and staying with us, man. J-Mo, we'll see you
later, brother.
week.
See you, everybody.
All right, peace out.